thing you should know, not to boss me around, because that don't go over too well with me sometimes.
Despite the threat of rain, the big turnout includes the mayor of San
I could annoy you to
Francisco
Kingdom Come, and also, too, I could sick Emily on you.
The future of Genovia is in the hands of young Metropolis. Her decision tonight will affect the Queen, the court, and all the people of this small but proud country.
Do you think it's gonna rain on us?
Now driving in style?
Thank you. Umbrellas up.
I would get that registered if I was you.
The trip is off, Lily.
I see.
Oh, perfect.
True.
Oh, come on. Oh, come on, baby.
Genovians, you know, are famous for their impeccable taste in all.
Nice.
Also for their cheese. Maybe it's string cheese.
See a stand for missing in action. Genovia has a new princess.
Lay down. Lay down. Lay down. No.
They had the same idea I had, but now the garden is occupied.
Lay down.
Why me?
Because you saw me when I was invisible. And just because I'm royal doesn't mean any different.
Through getting, like, with the lawyer and stuff for the accident he was in, and then pretty much just giving him a hard ass time.
Kiss my daughter? Thank you so much for dinner.
Nice kid.
Because when you said he got smart or something, I'm like, oh no, don't dare tell me he wants to go out with you now.
Premieres Monday, June.
I already told you, I see him as a friend.
Don't forget your garbage chutes to go out.
The following CBN telecast does not reflect the views of
Good night.
ABC Family.
We bring you the news of the day and stories of hope and inspiration from right here at home and across the globe with analysis and insight. Watch the 700 Club weekdays at 10 a.m.
What has happened to our Constitution? Senator Mike Lee has the way we can rediscover our liberties. And then,
I said I'm done.
one husband's bombshell confession.
I don't want to be married anymore. I'm having an affair, and I want out.
Plus, crippled with pain.
That's just not me.
And the meds didn't help.
And it was every day.
Find out what finally brought relief
I don't have to deal with this the rest of my life.
on today's 700 Club.
Well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this edition of the 700 Club. It was a train of terror thundering into a curve at 106 miles
The investigation into the cause of the Amtrak crash continues today, even as much of the debris from the accident has been cleared away.
NTSB officials recovered the train's event recorder. Preliminary information showing it was going much too fast just before it derailed.
The speed limit on that curve is just 50 miles per hour. The train started around it at 106 miles an hour. The engineer tried to slow the train, slamming on the emergency brake, but it was too little, too late.
In the next 3 or 4 seconds, the speed of the train had only decreased to 102.
Why exactly the train was going so fast will be the biggest question facing investigators. The man behind the controls of the Amtrak has been identified as 32-year-old Brandon Bastian. According to his attorney, he has no recollection of the crash or anything unusual happening, but he's cooperating with police and has submitted a blood sample. Bastian was treated for a concussion and injuries to his legs. Today, at least 7 people are confirmed dead, and some are still missing.
His life may have been snuffed out, and my grandchildren are broken-hearted, and I'm cried out.
Police are
Flanagan, what are you thinking? There's a corrupt organization, nobody knows who's in charge, and yet to control many parts in Gaza by Hamas, a terrorist organization, and yet the Vatican now has officially recognized what they call the State of Palestine over the opposition of Israel and the United States of America. Ephraim Graham has that story from the CBN newsroom. Here's Ephraim.
Pat, the Vatican made the official recognition of the State of Palestine in a new treaty. That treaty covers activities of the Roman Catholic Church in Palestinian areas. Palestinian leaders say it gives them a big legal victory over Israel in their quest to create a Palestinian state.
So this designates Palestine as a state having borders, 67 borders, having a capital, Jerusalem, and of course having rights in accordance with international law.
Both the U.S. and Israel oppose the Vatican's move. They say it undermines the attempt to negotiate a deal between Israel and the Palestinians on the terms of Palestinian statehood. We'll have more on this story on tomorrow's 700 Club. Pat?
Muddle-headed religiosity. You find it all the time. People who claim to be religious, they don't get their facts straight. They don't know what's on the ground, and they're led by kind of a left-wing ideology. I didn't think that was the case in the Catholic Church. They've been very reasonable on so many issues. But you heard Aaron Showery saying, with a capital in Jerusalem. Did you hear that? That is the eternal capital of Israel, won by King David. King David was not a, quote, Palestinian. Ephraim.
Pat, here at home, House Speaker John Boehner called a new measure, quote, the most pro-life legislation ever to come before this body. Boehner was talking about a ban on abortions after the 5th month of pregnancy, just minutes before the House approved that ban. Paul Strand brings us that story from Capitol Hill.
A ban on aborting unborn babies older than 20 weeks, old enough to feel pain, has passed its first hurdle.
The yeas are 242, the nays are 184.
U.S. House has passed the Pain-Capable Unborn Child Protection Act, with almost every Republican voting yay and almost every Democrat voting nay.
Democrats and Republicans took up familiar positions for such a debate. Democrats saying they had to protect America's women and their right to make their own medical choices, and Republicans saying they had to protect the most unprotected of classes, America's unborn children.
We have given these little babies less legal protection from unnecessary cruelty than the protection we have given farm animals under the federal humane law. Thing that has been in my crawl, Everson versus Board of Education, and it sets up what's called a wall of separation. They picked up a phrase from Thomas Jefferson, who was not part of the Constitutional Convention at all. He was in France. You pointed out in your book, talk about the racist KKK member who got on the Supreme Court, and he's the one who wrote that decision, the wall of separation. Amplify that, would you?
Yes, so we had a member of the United States Supreme Court who, having been a Ku Klux Klansman earlier in his life, was strongly anti-Catholic. He was a bigot, and he wanted to do everything he could to weaken what he perceived as grasp by the Catholic Church on the American people. And when he got himself put on the United States Supreme Court, he seized an opportunity in this Everson case that you refer to, that I discuss in my book. And he wrote into a Supreme Court opinion language that really isn't compelled by the Establishment Clause and isn't really consistent with the Establishment Clause. The Establishment Clause, as I explain in my book, was intended to make sure that Congress didn't establish a national church. It certainly was not intended to put unelected judges in the role of deciding when and whether and to what extent a prayer could be uttered in a public square, when, whether, or to what extent a state could provide transportation assistance to kids getting to school just because that school happened to have a religious affiliation. And so as I explain in the book, this is one of many examples of how our Constitution has been distorted, how it's been lost. Fortunately, the good news is, the news that I explain at the end of the book is that the American people will always be in control of the Constitution. They can control its destiny. They can restore it. And my book explains how.
Well, Mike, it's a great book, and that part about this wall of separation has just led to such an anomaly. It's just crazy what has been done under the rubric of something that never was debated, never part of the Constitution. A letter that Thomas Jefferson wrote to the Danbury Baptists that had no force of law whatsoever, and one judge, KKK member. Ladies and gentlemen, you need to read this book. And Mike, you're a great servant of America. We appreciate your service. Please keep it up and move higher if you will. Okay.
Thank you very much, Pat. It's good to be with you.
All right. Our lost Constitution. It is a terrific read. It really is. I mean, I wrote one, and this is a lot better than the one I wrote. So it's great. It's an excellent read. It's very interesting. Okay.
Well, coming up, a pastor makes a shocking confession to his wife.
I'm done with you. I don't want to be married anymore. I'm having an affair, and
Words. I lost everything.
Watch how she gains everything back, even better than before.
If you own a bank account, please listen up. A fabulous new book, Don't Bank on It, offered free, predicts that millions of bank accounts could be hit by